Morning, English class. This is Mr. Burke. Today I'm talking you through mood and setting. So first of all, what is mood? We're talking about literature. We're talking about short stories in our short story unit. Every story has a mood element. That is what the feelings or vibe or emotions the readers are supposed to go through. That's created by the author through the use of their language and the things that they describe. Usually you can think about mood as like the atmosphere of a story. It's not specifically the setting, but how does the setting impact what's happening, and what is the reader feeling as they're reading along. So it really focuses on creating some sort of emotional pull one way or the other for the reader. We're going to talk about the different ways that mood is created. First of all, mood is created through setting. Setting is the environment or surrounding where the story takes place. You've learned that since you were in first grade. The thing to look at here is the difference between the integral setting. If the setting is integral to the story, it influences the plot, theme, and characters. This means that the story couldn't happen unless it was in the setting that it was in. A backdrop setting is a setting that the story kind of moves independently of where the setting is, and it could happen anywhere. So any of like the typical like high schoolish movies all have a pretty backdrop setting. It's not made because it's in high school. That's just where they happen to be. An integral plot setting is something like let's say The Little Mermaid, right? The movie, it has to happen. The different parts of the setting influence the story, right? The princess in the story is a mermaid, and she wants to be somebody that has legs and can walk, and so the setting where they are is pretty crucial to the storyline. Mood through theme. Now remember, theme is a main idea or underlying meaning of the work, which sometimes is stated right away. It's pretty obvious. The author is clear that they want to have a certain theme come through. Other times it's indirect, and you kind of have to make an inference about what the theme is. Usually themes are stated as kind of like sentences that are like truths about the world that the author is trying to share. For instance, when we just read the necklace story, some of the themes are you don't need money to be happy, or lying gets you nowhere in life. Always be honest, right? Those, you can make inferences that the author was trying to say that. Sometimes the mood is created in part because of the theme. And so if the theme, let's say, is revenge is never justified, or something like getting even is good, and that's part of the theme of the story, then you're going to feel that as a reader, as you're reading, if the author does a good job. The tone of voice is how the author's attitude is. If you think about the difference between mood is something that you as the reader are feeling. Tone is something the author is saying, the way the author is saying it. So if you respond, if somebody asks you a question and you respond in a sarcastic tone, you're using your nonverbal part of your language to indicate something to them, right? So if somebody's like, hey, how you doing? You're like, I'm fine. Or I'm fine. Or you're like, I'm fine, and you're happy, right? That is conveyed through your tone. The same thing is true with authors. They write in different tone, and that can help establish the mood. If their tone of voice is really creepy or like ominous, that's going to change the tone. If it's really happy or pleasant, that's also going to change the tone of the story. So you have to pay attention what's the tone that the author, what is the words and the way they're saying what they're saying. A couple of examples right here. If a father asks a son, or tells a son, hey, we're going on vacation, the son could respond, awesome, that's great, and it's really like they're really happy. If the father says, oh, we can't go on a vacation this summer, and the son says, yeah, great, that's what I expected. He's using the same words, but his tone has changed to be more sarcastic. So you can identify part of the mood or how you're feeling about what you're reading by the tone of voice the author is using. Diction is word choice. Diction is a fancy word that means word choice. Essentially, each writer has to choose the way the words are going to be arranged and the things that they say, and that also helps develop the mood. So, for instance, this is a quote from the movie Gulliver's Travels. It should have an S in it. By Jonathan Swift. And so he says, and being no stranger to the art of war, I have him a description of cannons, culverins, muskets, carabines, pistols, bullets, powder, swords, bayonets, battles, sieges, retreats, attacks, undermines, countermines, bombardments, sea fights. So that's just a ton of different things, right? It's a big long list. And what he's saying in this story, his diction, his word choice, he chose all of those things to show this kind of harsh diction that he knows a lot about war, but it's destructive. All these things are bad, right? And so the author, Jonathan Swift, is changing his word choice to help you get the mood that war isn't good. So that's diction and how it impacts mood. Okay, so those are 4 things: mood through diction, tone, theme, and setting. Those are the 4 different ways that we create mood as writers, or how authors create mood as readers. If you want to watch this video, this is Alfred Hitchcock. He's a famous horror movie maker from way back when. He was talking about how the way you set up a scene changes the mood. And you can just say something like, oh, there's a bomb under a table and these 4 people are playing cards. And then the bomb goes off and everybody's blown up. But if you hint at it and you use different, if you're putting a theme out there, or your tone, right? They discover the bomb, and then it's this heightened sense of emotion where they have to get rid of the bomb, or somebody's trying to defuse the bomb, and you're telling that story through your word choice and things that you're saying. And the goal is that you stir up the reader or the viewer's emotions. Okay, and so you're trying to convey a message as an author. You want to play emotionally with how the audience feels, not just tell them things. And as you read through these stories that you read, that's what the authors are trying to do. They're trying to create some sort of emotion in you as a reader. And when they do that, they're setting up a mood. So we are going to read a story called The Cask of Amontillado this week. The theme, right? Last week we looked at characterization, okay, the different types of characters in a story. The day or the week before that, we looked at the plot chart when we read The Most Dangerous Game. Now we're reading a creepy story called The Cask of Amontillado, where the mood of the story is really impacted by the setting and theme that is kind of happening. So as you read, pay attention to the author's use of the setting, where they are, the tone, the author's or the narrator's voice, the diction, the word choices that are put out there for you, and what is the theme of the story. And then the mood that you're supposed to feel in the story is kind of chilly and spooky. So perfect for October as we get into kind of spooky season. So enjoy reading. Thanks for listening.